All right, so this is the Design Review Board meeting, calling to order Monday, June 24th, 5 p.m. Secretary's report, consideration of April 22nd minutes. Does anybody have any changes that need to be made? It's been a while.
Let's do roll call first.
Oh yeah, forgot that, sorry.
Martin excused. Hoff? Here. Rashid? Tibbet?
Here.
Stiniker? Here. Tilka?
Here.
Cox excused. Anderson?
Here.
Molechek?
Here. Okay, now. So back to the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Okay,
All in favor?
yes. Aye.
Aye.
Don't be shy, guys. I know we haven't been here since April. Okay, new business. We don't have any old business, so case DR 24-05, request for design review, CD Downtown Zoning District, installation of a wall sign at 325 Harrison Street, Nesper sign petitioner.
Okay, so this is the building directly across the street from City Hall. So it's on that southeast corner of 4th Street and Harrison Street. Quint City Restoration is occupying that corner tenant space. And so with that, they're proposing to install a new wall sign. So it would be mounted above the main entrance over on the corner, centered on the storefront windows. And then it fits within the proportions of the window and then that architectural brick band that goes just above it. So it's a PVC sign about 12 feet wide by 3 feet tall, and it will not be illuminated. And then the color scheme just matches the corporate logo and colors for Quint Cities. So with that, city staff is recommending approval in accordance with the submitted work write-up and materials provided.
Do you have anything additional you want to add?
My first time at this, so
Okay.
appreciate your efforts. Yeah, we think it's in good taste. It's not, the only thing I
Could
don't
you
know if
stand,
that's-
sorry, could you stand at the podium? Thank you.
Do I need to introduce myself and all?
Yes, please.
Okay. My name is Phil Garland, and I'm president of Nesper Sign out of Cedar Rapids. Obviously here representing our client. We think it's in good taste. The one thing I didn't know if it was possible or not, they had considered, we went through several options, doing it on both fronts of their building. I don't know if that's out of line at this meeting to ask that. Right now, budgetary reasons are only doing one, but I think eventually you're probably gonna come back to the second one. I didn't know if to be redundant for everybody in this room, if and when we could have this looked at for both, even though they're only wanting to do one right now, or if we need to resubmit for that. I don't know if that's proper or not, but that would be one consideration if possible. But other than that, I'm here for any questions. Our company's been around 100 years. We do good work. This it'll be nice. It says PVC, but it's a hard thick. It's a half inch. They originally were going to have something real thin. We're going to do either lit letters, base lit letters, or like a real flat aluminum. And we kind of went. This was the kind of the compromise to get some depth to it. I think it should look nice straight across the street, right out the door.
When it comes to the other side, I'm assuming that's Harrison Street that you're
Yes.
talking about. I would just defer to Matt because he'll know that if we need to hold it until you guys are ready to move forward with that side.
That may be like a year down the road, so it might be a while. I don't know if that's anything here.
Okay, I think at this time, we should treat it as a separate
fine.
application, just in case proportions change or sign design changes.
Does the board have any questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We will take the vote.
Okay. Hoff?
Yes.
Rashid?
Yes.
Tibbet?
Yes.
Stiniker?
Yes.
Tilka?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
And Molechek.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I'll follow up with you tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Case DR 24-06, request for design review, CD Downtown Zoning District, installation of new windows at 220 Emerson Place, Quad City Construction Service petitioner.
Okay, so 220 Emerson Place. It's a 3-story brick structure located in the middle of the block on Second Street. So it's a multi-tenant retail and office building. It has frontage both on Second Street and on Emerson Place, which is the alley directly behind it. So the tenant Rock River Family Office is expanding on the second floor of the building. And with that, they're doing some interior renovations. So to facilitate a better office layout and design, they're proposing to install 6 new windows on that second floor elevation on the east side of the building. So the adjacent structure is a 1-story building. I believe it was a former CrossFit facility. So the proposed windows, they match the 2 windows on the 3rd floor that are existing on the site. So it'll keep that appearance uniform on that facade. So here's a couple photos of the building. So the photo on the left would be the view from the south. You have to walk back almost about a half block just to be able to see that side of the building and that side of the wall. And then likewise, that photo on the right is the view from Second Street. So the windows are closer to Second Street, but they're still definitely limited visibility. So it won't impact the character of that block face much or the architectural character of the north and south elevations, which are the more pedestrian primary facades. So that photo on the right just kind of shows a angled panorama shot of the building. So really the best way to see that elevation is almost from a satellite image. So with that, given the limited visibility, the fact that it revitalizes an interior office space within the downtown that also fits the character of the building, staff is recommending approval in accordance with the submitted work write-up and materials.
Do we have anyone here representing who would like to discuss further?
I'm Darren Guffey with Quad City Construction.
Hi. Do you have anything to add at all?
No, other than the fact as he did a good review of that. It's kind of hard to see, and the main purpose, there'll be fixed windows. They won't be operable. The main purpose is to let borrowed light in or some natural daylight in for the office space, because currently there's nothing there on that second floor on that south side. So as they add more staff and more employees there, it's just nice to have some outdoor lighting.
And then materials and colors match the 2 windows that we can see here in this, the second picture?
Yes, sir. All the windows are the same, of that whole second floor and on that 3rd floor. They're dark bronze, excuse me. They'll be matching, the brick will be too thin to match.
Okay. Does the board have any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A second.
Stiniker,
Yes.
Tilka,
Yes.
Cox? Yes. Anderson,
Yes.
Malachek,
Yes.
Hoff,
Yes.
Rashid,
Yes.
and Tibbet.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
All right. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right, case DR 24-07, request for design review, CD Downtown Zoning District, site improvements at 329 East 4th Street, Red Band Coffee Company.
All right, so Red Band Coffee, so it's located on the corner of 4th Street and Iowa. So the current site has a drive-through that often has some issues with cars overflowing during morning rush hour. So the property owner is proposing a new site design to help address some of those issues with the overflow parking lot. So this photo on the right shows the conceptual design. So the existing site, it has 7 parking spaces. It allows for vehicles to stack in the drive-through, but just for 3 vehicles. The proposed improvement would shift that driveway a little further over to the west. So that allows for 9 spaces to be parked on site. And that also allows for 8 vehicles to be stacked on private property. So that'll come in handy too when 4th Street's converted to 2-way traffic. Some other Alterations with the proposed design, the dumpster will be relocated on the site closer to that West Fourth Street driveway entrance. And then there'll be changes with the outdoor seating that get relocated. So the current site has seating behind the building, closer to the railroad tracks. That'll be brought forth towards the street frontage. So here is the conceptual design that's been submitted. So the blue cars, you could see it provides for more vehicle stacking on site. The driveway will still be one way, so you'll enter off of Fourth and then exit off of Iowa. So that's similar to the current configuration now. Then you could see the added driveway spaces and the proposed landscaping. There's a footnote on the plans that the landscape is conceptual. So city staff are recommending a condition that a landscape plan be submitted at a later date and reviewed. The board can choose at staff level or be brought back to the board for formal consideration. So just breaking it down, so here's a few photos of the existing building and the driveway. So that photo on the right is the south elevation. You could see a window on that facade. That'll be converted into a drive-through window. So that way customers can be, you could exchange pavement and receive your coffee. The existing window it doesn't open or close. It's like a large picture window, so that'll be taken out and then new sliding windows will be brought forward. The applicant didn't submit any designs for that at this time. So city staff is recommending a condition that that window fit within the existing opening and match the character and color and material as the other windows on the structure because you want to have a uniform facade appearance, as that will be visible from Iowa Street and from the south. So that outdoor seating area, so that top photo on the right is their outdoor garden. So that's located behind the building, more towards the railroad tracks and the hillside. So the proposed design would bring that forward towards 4th Street. Some of those memorial limestones will also be incorporated into the landscaping design. So staff is in favor of that as it activates more of the street frontage, creates more pedestrian activity, and kind of reinvigorates that street corner. As right now, it's fairly barren as it's just green space. So that will be brought towards 4th Street and the front of the storefront. And then the other item is the trash enclosure. So that photo on the left shows the existing dumpster. So it's just located on a pad off of the drive-through to the south of the building. So the applicant intends to relocate the dumpster within an enclosure off of 4th Street. The intent in the scope of work is to construct a brick enclosure to match the main structure and then to gate it with a solid fence. However, those details weren't provided at this time. So a third condition is that the dumpster enclosure be screened with a masonry red brick that matches the facade to help tie in the site together, and then that also be gated so it's not visible from 4th Street. So with that, staff is recommending approval, subject to 3 conditions. So the first one being that the drive-through window on the south elevation fit within the existing opening and match the remaining windows in material and color. The second one being that the trash enclosure and storage area be fully enclosed on 3 sides by a solid red brick wall between 6 feet and 8 feet in height. And the enclosure must be gated and that gate be solid so it's not see-through. 6 to 8 feet in height. That's pretty standard throughout the remainder of the city of Davenport and what we require for dumpster enclosures. So we're just carrying that forward to this site. And then the last one being that a formal landscape plan be reviewed and approved by city staff.
Is anyone here who wants?
I'm Rick Cook, owner of Red Band Coffee, and I can do all that.
Matt, I just want to say really fast,
Sure.
he's my neighbor. Should I sit out the vote? I'm not sure.
No, I don't believe unless
Okay.
you have a stake in
I don't.
Red Band Coffee.
I don't. We
Or this
just
project?
talked about
Okay.
that. Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
You been selling shares, Rick?
No, no.
Just me. Any questions about what we're putting together?
I gotta say, the coffee's fantastic, so keep that up. But I saw in there, it looks like the existing space is gonna be used for, like the existing patio there, pavement, to remain for future event space. What do you got planned for that?
We don't have any plan right now. We're not gonna use it as a parking lot. Once the construction's done, we're gonna close Fourth Street off and put curbing on there and the red brick, streetscape. And so I actually don't have a plan for the, probably more tables or event space, but I don't know. It's just there and it's not gonna be used for parking.
Yeah,
It'll be blocked out.
I was gonna ask if there's more possibility for more, either landscaping or outdoor seating, as opposed to just the two tables we see there.
Right, we can definitely do more seating. We thought about tearing all the concrete out and putting dirt in, but it got really expensive, so we're
I think it's great to have the outdoor space.
Yeah.
It really is, so. Yeah.
I don't know if you folks know Sean Terrell, but I'm working with Terrell Landscaping. And this week, we're putting a landscape plan together, so we can share that with you. And the same brick, we had an addition to this building in 2018, and a company made that red brick for us in Iowa, and we're gonna use that same brick for the dumpster enclosure.
Nice.
Same red brick.
And that'll be like a 2-lane, so one driveway and one just drive through.
That's right.
Nice.
That's correct.
It'll definitely help, you, like you said, once it's a 2-way area.
Full of traffic, it'll be a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. Does the board have any other questions? I would.
So to the left of the dumpster, that item right there, does that stay there or will that move as well?
No, so we're gonna make the enclosure big enough, tall enough to get our dumpster in there, get the truck in there and get it, and put that little metal building.
Yeah.
Salt, snow blowers, everything I
Okay,
need
so
to
it's shed.
keep it
Okay.
squared away during the winter. So we're gonna get that in the enclosure as well, and then have black, solid metal doors that I can lock.
Gotcha.
I have a question about the recommendation, Matt. You said the third condition with the landscaping would be approved by the city staff, so it doesn't need to come through the board. Is that what you're recommending?
So that's what staff is recommending. However, the board, if you guys would like to see a formal landscape plan submitted, it's up to the board if it wants to come back to you guys for a formal review, or if you want that to be administratively done after the fact by city staff.
Does anyone want to see the formal landscape? Okay. So would we like to just have the third condition say, just come back with a formal plan to the board once they have that landscape?
I don't think we need to.
No?
He's got a professional.
Matt just has to show us a picture, just because we're not.
Professional
I do.
landscape firm.
I think Sean's pretty
I
professional,
think I
yeah.
know.
What
He's
is-
a big landscape
Matt
firm.
read to you either, yeah. Why don't you go?
And Matt can always show us those plans when he gives them, just so we see them. So, everyone good with the approval with the conditions as is?
Yeah, motion to approve with conditions.
Great, wonderful. We'll do a quick vote, but it's,
All right,
I
thank you.
think it's yes.
Okay. So there was motion to approve with the 3 recommended conditions. Hoff,
Yes.
Rashid,
Yes.
Tibbet,
Yes.
Stiniker,
Yes.
Tilka,
Yes.
Cox, Anderson,
Yes.
Mullichek.
Yes.
Okay, passes.
Okay, thank you.
Can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last one, case DR 24-08, request for design review, CD Downtown Zoning District improvements to Emerson Alley, Downtown Davenport Partnership. This petitioner.
Okay, so the Downtown Davenport Partnership is the project lead for this. So this is Emerson Alley or Emerson Place. So it's roughly a 2-block alley that extends from Perry Street, where it terminates at the Doubletree Hotel, and then extends past Pershing Avenue over to Iowa Street, where it terminates at the park. So this is a project proposed by the Downtown Partnership and the business owners as a way to further activate that alley, make it more inviting, and yeah, really just a nice amenity for the downtown. So I'm actually going to invite up Kyle Carter with the partnership, who's going to kind of walk us through the design intent and what the plans are for this area.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, real quick on the last one, Rick takes better care of his property than anyone in all of downtown Davenport. I assure you his landscape will be spectacular, whatever it is. So you should sleep very well. As for the presentation,
There we
do I need
go.
the clicker? Oh, there we go. So the premise for this, first of all, is that we established a master plan in 2020 to celebrate Motor Row and Bucktown, both the two historic overlapping neighborhoods of this corridor. So when we put this together, there are 5 key elements of what we try to do in any project in downtown. This meets a couple of them: celebrated, innovative, livable, playful, connected, inclusive. We're really trying to make sure that we are building a downtown that people actually want to spend time in. And this is a key element of that had to do with our alleys and just how unfriendly many of them are, both from a lighting perspective, safety perspective, beautification perspective. So that's the why behind we're doing this and trying to build a better network. We talked about this particular location as being extremely historic. Motor Row is the name that's really taken off lately, but this is also Bucktown. It shares, they're just different eras of history of Davenport. And the architecture that we're building here is to celebrate the entire history of this corridor, back from its very seedy days of gambling and all kinds of fun stuff that was happening along this street, into the Motor Row era. That was a very intentional effort by Davenport at the time to kind of erase that and replace it with automotive history and what would later become dealerships and gas stations. So moving on, the inspiration for the design of this was based off the welcome sign. This has become an icon, I believe, of Davenport, and we wanted to carry the design elements that we established here through our work. And you'll see the Arsenal Bridge was clearly the inspiration for the surrounding structure on this. And as we move through this, you'll see that the Arsenal and, of course, the Centennial Bridge gets involved in this too, if you want to click to the next one. But before we get there, just really quickly, we're working with each of the individual property owners to hook the overhead lights into this. So the kind of the Edison lights that'll be hanging up high in the alley are going to be attached to private property. Each property owner is signing off on that. And you can see the blue triangles there of where those points are going to be. And we also have a few metal poles that are decorative as well to hook where we don't, or where we're not able to hook to a building. So if you go to the next, you'll kind of see the crisscross pattern. This has been done in many other cities around the United States. We are by no means the first to have this idea, but it's the first time we're implementing it here. So we're going to go ahead to the next one. You can see the type of light that we're going to be using. These are going to be reinforced with steel cable. Everything will be at the height above semi-trucks. It'll meet all the necessary code. Lots of travel for deliveries goes through this that we're very, very aware of. So one of the things when this went through E-Plan, which is where all the engineers and all the real nerds get involved, looking at turning radiuses and heights and all of that, city staff is already knee-deep in all of that, and we've been assured that we're meeting all of those criteria, or if they need to tinker with that, we will. But it's my understanding that that's in good standing as of now. Move on to the next one. These are just shots of today. So actually, believe it or not, this looks a lot better than it did. We just resurfaced this in conjunction with the city and adjacent property owners. So it's brand new blacktop there. And this is Iowa Street looking to the west. So to help give context, the actual archway in this case is going to be a little further in because of those turning radiuses and because of what the engineers wanted us to do. It'll actually be more aligned with the back of the last picture house, and where you currently see this pole. This is going away. We're going to yank this out of the ground and get rid of it, all those overhead cables, and the archway will actually be perpendicular to that, so it'll get even prettier once we get rid of that pole. Moving on to the next slide, you'll see the actual architectural design documents. So all this is steel that's been manufactured locally. All of it was cut locally. right down on the west end. And so every element of this, from the handwriting, so Motorola and Bucktown, that design you see there, that's Johnny Clooney's handwriting, the artist from Daytrotter, who is still around and in town and does a lot of work. And it's the same handwriting that was used on the welcome sign, which is why we wanted to carry it over into this. The Centennial being the obvious influence for the archway in this case, and then sticking to our Arsenal roots and welcome sign roots for the design there. Go ahead and flip to the next one. You'll see on this side of the alley, all the way down on Perry, where we're installing this, it's going to be right up adjacent to the building on the left-hand side and carried over. And we've already talked to Tim about his dumpster over there and making sure that all those clearances, and again, that's E-plan stuff, not so much design review stuff. But we're going to make sure that we plop it exactly where the engineers want us to, because there's a million utilities over here. One of the reasons this is so complicated is there are utilities everywhere underground in these alleys, and that's a different city department that dictates where we put things. And then you see the beams. So where we didn't have an ability to hang a light, this is the decorative beam that matches exactly the other beams that will be in mid-block areas that we're connecting the lights to when we can't connect directly to a building. Next slide. So the last one, which might be my favorite, actually, one of the ideas of this plan was to draw people off Second Street and have them discover this whole other corridor of businesses. We have a beautiful alley that Barrel House uses as their patio right now. A lot of people don't realize that Front Street is back there, Stop Box is back there, all these offices, and the guys that you just approved an office window for, their entrance is right there around the back. This is a very public, very pedestrian-friendly area. But if you weren't from here and you didn't know any of that, and you're walking down Second Street, you would be clueless that just through this alley was a whole other corridor of businesses. So this will be attached between the two properties, overhanging that and inviting people to kind of discover this corridor. And at night when it's all lit up, that's the whole idea behind trying to draw people from A to B. So if we'll click to the next one, I think we're about to the end here.
Yep, this is the last slide.
Yeah, so happy to answer any other questions. Deco is Davenport Electric Company is the one who put all the lighting designs together. Who was the main?
Howard Steele.
Howard Steele, thank you, did all the work. Johnny did the handwriting. We have made this as local as possible, and Davenport in the Quad Cities is a rare place where you actually still build things. And we're very proud that every bolt and light and element of this was done by a local company. So happy to take questions from here.
So just to be clear, that archway will be on either side of the alleys and then in between these two?
Yeah, let me clarify. So this one in particular doesn't have beams. It will literally
have
be
the arch.
connected to the buildings.
Okay.
We don't need the beams in this case.
Right.
The other ones will need the support beams.
On east and west.
Correct.
Got it. But only like two, you're not gonna have like, when the street divides the alley, you're not gonna like add more, are
So
you?
you're talking mid-block?
Yeah,
You know, we had talked at one time of doing mid-block too. And as much as I'd like to do that, the budget was not friendly enough. Maybe someday we could come back and do the mid-block one, that'd be cool. We're putting in about 120 grand at this point.
it'll just be really obvious because the lights will keep going though.
Yeah, the lights will keep going. We'll carry it from end to end with the
Yeah,
lights, but as far as having like one in the middle, I would love to someday. At the moment, we're not there.
What's the timeline for wanting to get all of this done?
So we've been beginning manufacturing. We could do this thing this summer and get this thing built before the end of this season.
Oh, wow.
We've been working on this for 4 years, I think, to get to this point. So we're on the home stretch.
I have a question. So you're encouraging people to walk down Emerson Alley because there will be entrances to places off of the alley?
Yeah, so surprisingly, so for instance, the office you guys just saw, their main entrance is actually on the alley side. Front Street's entrance is on the alley side. Stop Box is
Kind of.
technically off River Drive, but everybody gets there through the alley.
Okay.
In the case of Last Picture House, its entrance isn't on the back, but it's drawing your eye down the block. So it's not true in every case, but part of this too is safety, right? One of our things that we'd like to do throughout downtown is where we're not able to do the full archways and spend the big money. We want to start doing this lighting pattern all over downtown Davenport. It can get spooky at night. It's still not very comfortable in a lot of these alleys. We started here because this is where we have pedestrian traffic already. Another example of where you'll see us probably come back to you guys is behind the Forest Block. That's a very dark alley that's pretty spooky at night that has a lot of people, but after dark, there aren't many light bulbs back there that aren't floodlights. Starting Line, if you guys remember the old Starting Line bar, that alley that shoots between the parking ramp and K Square, we'd love to do that. We're just starting with Emerson. What we're hoping is that this establishes a design pattern and a methodology that we could repeat across downtown. I don't think we're going to be doing the iron archways everywhere, but just because they're expensive, but that's the logic.
Do you think because there would probably be more traffic then coming through between the buildings and things like that, that there will be some sort of cameras?
Yeah, actually, the Peterson building just installed a top-of-the-line camera you could see a flea with. From a security point of view, we have been working with individual property owners to do more and more security cameras in this alley. Thankfully, this block hasn't had too many troubles, but we've had something happen just about everywhere down here over time. But yeah, more cameras, and you bring up a good point. DDP owns this. We carry the insurance for it, all of it. The city doesn't own any of this infrastructure. The private sector is footing the bill and the responsibility to maintain it.
So with the steel structures,
Yeah.
the lights will be connected to those, so they won't like droop or
Correct.
fall or.
Yeah, the steel string, for the lack of a better word, steel cable, that's the word I'm looking for. The amount of droop will be the amount of droop we want. And when ice and snow hits in the wintertime, that's why we're using steel cable. So I'm sure that they'll move around a little bit as weather hits them, but these are commercial grade, the toughest stuff that Barry could find. For those who've worked with Deco in the past, Barry knows his stuff, and when he tells me it's built like a tank, I believe him. And frankly, we'll just replace anything that we have to over time, but I'm hoping that we built this tough enough to do what it's supposed to do. And again, the height will be high enough that a semi can drive underneath it and not get anywhere near it.
So that was my question. So it's not gonna just be a pedestrian walkway, it's gonna still be a through alley. Is there gonna be any sort of, watch for pedestrians, what?
Yeah.
People are walking back there and then a semi comes along.
Yeah, so that's happening now.
Okay.
The present is what you just described. I think the enhanced lighting and beautification will make drivers more aware and probably take it a little slower, whipping around corners. And if they are entering this area, it will be much more obvious to the driver, hey, I'm somewhere that other non-drivers exist. As far as signage goes, we're always happy to entertain more. I mean, you can never have too much in the way of trying to make a safer place for pedestrians. That's the whole goal. So if we're working with the city and there's some signage or recommendations of what we need to do, we'll just do it.
We don't think, two things, I guess. The first thing, where it goes over by Barrel House, their patio still stays, right?
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Yep.
And then the other thing is, I'm guessing it's probably not possible for it to be done before alternating currents.
No, it's possible.
That
It's
would be-
manufactured to the point that we just have to cut a few more things. But I didn't want to get too far out of my skis here before I got where you guys were at on this. We're pretty far. We could tinker with this still, but we're getting to the point of no return.
Well, I'd say with alternating currents coming, I did that last year, and this alleyway actually is, once it turns nighttime, this is a
Pedestrian
This is a
alley.
pedestrian alley,
Yeah.
and people know that, so daytime's like a thing, but nighttime, we walked out of there from Stomp Box and walked down that alley. I definitely believe that it's gonna help, Front Street, because I didn't even know that alley went through.
Yeah.
Like, I really didn't, so the other thing is when like alternating currents is going on, that is just like this main pathway that takes us to all of our other areas. It's just kind of and if you add stuff to it, it's just gonna make it even cooler.
It is, and we think the design is beautiful. I know that's a little subjective, and there may be particular opinions about that. We tried to stick to like the legends of Quad Cities. I mean, Arsenal Bridge, Centennial Bridge, you know, an artist that already had a footprint in downtown. I try to actually be maybe more on the safe side from a design perspective, as we intend this to be here for a very long time. And I have had some people question like, well, why Bucktown? Why not just Motor Row or vice versa? Motor Row is a neighborhood association that's brand new, and I think they're amazing and it's great. The history though is both Motor Row and Bucktown, and that's forever. So if the neighborhood association sticks around for 50 years or 100 years, great. But we wanted to make sure we celebrated the total history of the neighborhood, and I have no problem with people referring to it as Motor Row. But we felt that the total history of Davenport was what, if we're gonna put in steel, I wanted it to be a little more holistic than just what maybe the neighborhood association was thinking when we got into this.
Well, I appreciate that because Bucktown, yeah, I was afraid that went away a little bit.
I wouldn't want to say like, this would not be to hold you up, this would be like maybe an addition to down the road, but if there's
Yeah.
any way, if there's like, I'm not sure if any of those buildings are historic, or if like, obviously these neighborhoods themselves are historic, if there's ways to like add some sort of like murals to the backs of some of
Oh,
these
yeah.
buildings or the sides, just down the road as an idea, so like as
You're
you're
preaching
walking,
to the
you can
choir.
kind of
You
get.
can- Yeah, we'll
some
paint every
ideas.
building if they let us.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, the woman who stands behind me, Alicia, runs our art program. We have over $40,000 budgeted just for this coming fiscal year. Where's the next mural going?
We're gonna do it along Armored Gardens fence on
Oh,
Third
yeah.
Street, but
Nice.
there is a mural on Emerson Place now that you saw when Rock River's application was in, and that's what we did with Alternating Currents last
Yeah.
year. Had 5 local artists do
Yeah.
that.
Very cool.
Yeah, and my dream would be, there are so many walls and buildings that need art. Like, there's one that I would love to bring to you guys. So there's one over behind Clemmy's that's like just a picture frame, basically, just a brick picture frame. There's so much more we could do on that. So yes, I mean, our dream would be that this is the start of beautifying Emerson, and that we continue to build on this over time. And if some idiot hits it with their car, it's insured, and I've seen it all down here. Nothing would surprise me. By the way, we're building the flood wall tomorrow, speaking of surprises. So there's always something down here, and we tried to build this project in a way that knew that something will happen, a cable will break, someone will hit something, it's insured, we have the designs, and we have the willpower to just make it work.
So are those lights, this might be silly, but are those lights solar, or will someone be keeping an eye on them when they
No,
burn
the
out?
property owners are paying for the electrical bill. So we're hooking into the private grid for this one, and you'll probably be happy to hear, they're the orange, like
Edison?
Edison glow, not the like prison blue. So I figured somebody was gonna ask that question.
Is that green, is it a green,
Yeah, does that?
neon thing?
No, that's just the engineers. That's just CAD. It'll be cut out, so it'll be hollow. I will say that the only complaint that I had heard on this was, what if the letters are hard to read because they're cut out and they're hollow? Barry has contemplated a light box that we could put behind the letters, and so if we put this thing up and we're like, it's kind of hard to read the letters, we could easily put a light box behind it where basically there'd be a surface behind it and we just light it from behind, which probably would be solar at that point. That is an option if it turns out that the cutout is harder to read.
I have a silly question. Are these Edison lights, like I have this kind like hanging in my yard, right? Are they a kind that you can change colors when there's a certain time of year, or
Did we buy that?
are they just white? I mean, it's totally fine if
When
they're
we
white.
started
but-
this project, the answer to that was yes. By the time my budget came back, I think the answer was
It's okay, you can have just warm lights.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'll ask Barry and confirm, but I think he asked.
It's okay.
So
Is this fixture gonna be lit at all?
So the fixture will only be lit by the hanging lights and kind of the ambient glow around it.
Like the one between the buildings?
So we could. So the answer is that no, it is not currently. Barry and I have talked about that, and he is we would have to figure out where to mount it to do it, but if we didn't do the back box light, we could still uplight the structures.
Because my
That's-
thought on that is, if it's dark and you guys are trying to draw people down the alley to the businesses, will they notice it?
So the light, remember, the hanging lights are gonna be everywhere. So they're
Oh, they're gonna
all
be in
around.
between the buildings?
Yeah, so they're in between the buildings and then they hook to, and then they hook to the actual, poles. So they'll be immediately adjacent, so a string of light will be very close to it. Which is why we had gone back and forth and like, do we even need to uplight it? Cause it's glowing adjacent. Now, if we put this thing up and we're like, oh, we need more, like, we'll do more. But we're not gonna spend this kind of time, money and effort and then
Yeah.
get skimp on the last $2,500 to uplight this thing.
So is it kind of like, we were just saying, is it kind of like Moline, I think it's on Fifth Street, how they
Yeah.
have that street
Yeah.
lit up, but like just more of the lights?
Very similar,
Yeah.
yeah, just on a tight condensed
Yeah.
alley.
So it'll actually be more.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like, there's part of me who wonders, like, do we need a little bit more direct light on the structures? We're open to that if it turns out we need to.
So you mentioned are the HESCO barriers going up? Or
Yes.
are they?
Sorry, side note.
Okay.
Yeah, the 4 foot of water got dumped in Minnesota and
Yeah.
Wisconsin and it's coming our way, so.
The question I ask is, we have our first riverboat docks on Wednesday.
Ah,
Are we going to be able to get from I'm a tour guide for them, so
Yeah.
are we going to be able to?
I think if it's this Wednesday, you'll probably be fine,
Okay.
but by Saturday, there'll be 18 and a half feet of
Oh,
water.
yeah, because the
Um,
7th is the next one, 7th
Yeah.
of July.
Here's the good news.
Yeah.
It's gonna come and it's gonna go. When you
Good.
look at the water projections, it's flying, but it'll be gone as fast as it got here. The city, as you know, is not in a position to take the risk. So I think they're gonna put up the wall. I think the water's probably gonna barely touch it, but you never know. If we get a deluge of rain and it's 19 or 20, we'll be glad it's there. I know we're off topic, but on that, well, to your point, another reason we're doing kind of that rust color with this and basing it off the Arsenal is for that reason. If for any reason this got wet, it's already gonna have that rust. It's gonna look like the
That
Arsenal.
age.
Yeah.
You can tell when we're excited about something, so we have a lot of questions. Do we have any more questions pertaining to the alley project? At all?
I make a motion, we approve?
And you have to start it tomorrow.
Okay. Tilka,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Malachek,
Yeah.
Hoff,
Yes.
Rashid,
Yes.
Tibbet,
Yes.
Stiniker.
Yes.
Yeah, well, thank you, and if there are any other weird engineering bugs in this, a different department of City Hall takes care of that, and they're already all over this stuff, so just rest easy knowing that if it needs to go here instead of there, it was an engineer who told me to do that.
Matt, will you just tell us when it's like opening? Yeah, I wanna go.
Yes, definitely.
I said it's gonna look like very romanticized, an alleyway.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah, that first picture they showed, it's got like the hose coming out of the business, like that's gotta disappear now.
Yeah,
Like, if you're
that would be
gonna
great.
make it look right.
It's just
And
gonna be like when.
that alley does have the energy to pull pull people
Okay,
there.
I still have a job to do, guys. Sorry. General discussion, do we have anything?
So I have one. So there's going to be a walking tour of the downtown that's going on this summer. So we just missed the June 20th date, but there's going to be 4 other opportunities. So the city, working alongside the public library, hired a local historian that's offering downtowns walking tours. They run about 2 hours in length. They're free to the public. So you just have to go online and register for it. So definitely encourage your family and friends, if you're free during those dates and times, to do it. It's also a nice way too for our board to see kind of all the changes that happen in downtown that we've been a part of. So definitely encourage that. Then my other note is I do want to welcome, we do have 2 new commissioners. So Nick Cox is joining us for the first time, as well as Jessica Mullichek. Hopefully I'm saying your name right.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That seemed like, maybe not.
Yeah, no, so I know this year we've had a few canceled meetings, so it's kind of nice that we have everyone back together to welcome our newest members, so.
Matt, do you know, are these walking tours, is it the same tour or is it each one a different tour?
They're all the same tour, so if you
Okay,
go
so
to 2
go
of
to
them,
one
you're
of
seeing
the-
the same tour twice.
Any public comment? The 2 public. Okay, our next meeting is July 22nd, 2024. And I would say a meeting adjourned.
Super.
Thank you.